Today, we're going to talk about how playing video games went from something you do in your basement to a global professional spectacle. I'm talking sold-out stadiums, huge prize pools, and actual careers. So how did this happen? Let's dive in.
I want to start with just one number. Over 100 million. That's the number of people who watch a single esports final. Yeah, the League of Legends World Championship, to be exact. That's a whole lot of eyeballs.
And to put that into perspective for you, we're talking about viewership that's right up there with the finals of some of the biggest traditional sports on the planet. Sometimes it's even bigger. So yeah, this is not some niche hobby anymore. It's officially mainstream global entertainment.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How in the world did we get here? How did playing video games become a legitimate, high-stakes, global sport? Well, we're going to break it all down.
Okay, first things first, we need to really understand what esports actually is, and then trace its history. And trust me, it's a story that started a lot earlier than you probably think.
So, what's the difference between you playing games on your couch and esports? Well, it really all comes down to one word: organized. We're talking professional-level, structured competitions. There are leagues, teams, and of course, some seriously life-changing prize money and recognition on the line.
And listen, this did not happen overnight. The very first tournament was way back in 1972 at Stanford. The grand prize? A magazine subscription. No joke. Then the 90s gave us that awesome arcade fighting game scene. In the 2000s, South Korea basically created the template for pro gaming. But the 2010s, that was the real game changer. The streaming boom just blew the doors open and put it on the global stage we see today.
So all that history, all that passion, it didn't just build a community. No, it created a massive, complex business. We are talking about a billion-dollar ecosystem with a ton of moving parts.
And the scale is just wow. The global esports market is projected to be worth almost $7.5 billion by 2030. That kind of growth is just staggering. So who are the big players making all this happen? Well, it all starts with the game publishers. Companies like Riot Games and Valve, they don't just make the games, they own the games. They own the whole world, the characters, everything. This gives them this incredible power to set all the rules, run the biggest leagues, and pretty much act as the ultimate authority for their game's entire competitive scene.
Okay, so building on that foundation, you've got the teams and the organizers. Pro teams like Team Falcons and FaZe Clan, they work just like any other sports club. They scout talent, they employ players, they have training facilities. And then you have the organizers, groups like the ESL FaZe Group, who actually build the massive events and run the international tournaments.
But you know, none of this works without an audience and a whole lot of money. That's where broadcasters like Twitch and YouTube come in. They're the ones bringing the action to millions of fans. And that huge, engaged audience attracts big-name sponsors like BMW and Red Bull, who are dying to reach that super valuable 18 to 34-year-old demographic.
And you can see exactly how important that is right here. Just look at this breakdown. That massive 60% chunk of the pie, that's sponsorships. It is the absolute engine of this industry. The rest is a mix of things like media rights, ads, and selling merch, all flowing from that core competitive action.
So we know who's involved, we know where the money comes from, but what are they actually playing? Because the games themselves are incredibly diverse and they require totally different skills.
You've really got three main genres at the top of the food chain. First, MOBAs. Think League of Legends. These are super complex, strategic games. It's almost like digital chess, but with explosions. Then you have your FPS games, or first-person shooters, like Valorant. This is all about lightning-fast reflexes and pinpoint accuracy. And finally, you have battle royales, like Apex Legends, where it's all about survival, smart thinking, and being the last one standing. Each one is basically its own sport.
Now, when you think of esports, I bet you immediately picture the players sitting at their keyboards, right? Well, that's really just the tip of the iceberg. This whole industry has created this huge ecosystem of professional careers.
Let's start with the role everyone knows, the pro player. And make no mistake, this is an elite athletic career. We're talking 8 to 12 hours of training every single day. It demands unbelievable mechanical skill, deep strategic thinking, and just incredible mental toughness to perform when millions are watching. But here's the number that I think really changes the whole picture. There are roughly 64,000 full-time professional jobs in the esports industry. And guess what? The huge majority of those jobs are not held by the players.
Yep, For every single star player you see on that stage, there's a whole army of people behind them. You've got coaches and analysts, shoutcasters, who are the commentators, plus event managers, marketing people, social media managers, data scientists, broadcast producers, the list just goes on and on. It's a complete professional world, just like any other major sports league.
So where is all of this going? The industry is still growing and changing at like a breakneck pace, and there are a few key trends that are really shaping what's next.
One of the biggest drivers right now is mobile. I mean, just look at these projected growth rates. The mobile scene is set to grow even faster than the rest of the market. And the reason is simple, right? The smartphone that's in your pocket right now is making competitive gaming accessible to billions of new players, especially in emerging markets.
And it doesn't stop there. We're seeing AI that's going to completely change coaching and how teams analyze their games. We're also seeing more and more traditional sports organizations getting involved. Plus, huge investments are pouring into new regions like the Middle East and South Asia, totally shifting the global map of esports.
Which kind of leaves us with this one final fascinating thought. You know, as technology keeps blurring the lines between the digital and the physical world, with AI coaches optimizing every little move and virtual arenas becoming the new normal, what is the athlete of tomorrow even going to look like? What does it even mean to be an athlete? It's pretty wild to think about.